riding across Kansas here.
Every single corner you come around is something you want to look at, something you want to photograph.
Riding Scotland on motorcycles, it just doesn't get any better than this.
The roads of Scotland are very challenging, very fun.
You just want to roll.
We're tripping off to Scotland, one of the most storied and stunning places on Earth, and we'll be experiencing it on motorcycles. This whole thing was the idea of my friend, world traveler, and motorcycle photojournalist Neale Bayly. He cooked up a scheme to commandeer a couple Triumph Sprint STs and ride them through the Highlands to gather the material for a feature magazine article. It all sounded a bit sketchy to me at first, but hey, Neale's a pro. He knows what he's doing, right?
I grew up here, lived here 25 years ago.
He's native to this country.
And I'm actually single if anyone's interested.
Neale's truly a professional in this.
It's almost a sense of security.
The camera actually takes a lot of muscle off.
It's a benefit for my dad and I.
Well, one of the most interesting things about being up in Scotland, obviously, is, being single. There are plenty of sheep out in the country back roads.
We're in good hands.
I decided to bring my 16-year-old son, and we'd ride two up. Sam's a rider himself, but I just didn't think he was ready for a bike this big, especially considering we'd be riding on the wrong side of the road. He wasn't necessarily happy with this decision, but I think he was also conspiring with Neale to see if he couldn't change my mind.
Not every 16-year-old in the U.S. has done this.
I mean, Sam's a good rider. He's young.
It'd be nice if I was actually in control of the bike.
Sam has been so patient about not riding the Triumph.
It's actually kind of frustrating, because I want to be up there.
That ST that's a powerful bike.
Don't tell your mother you did this. And me? I'm Dennis, the mustachioed master planner and voice of reason for this traveling circus. My goal is to pack as much as possible into this trip and ensure that we all make it back in one piece.
It's the ride of a lifetime.
How's riding with Dennis? Why, he's so slow.
Just what I needed.
My dad,
I mean, if he could figure out where the throttle was.
Here, I'm biting my nails all this time.
I could not take it anymore.
One thing for certain, though, this is going to be the ride of a lifetime as we go tripping on two wheels in Scotland.
In Scotland, you step back in time very quickly. A couple miles out of town, and you're definitely back in time. And you see, it's mostly cattle, it's mostly sheep, it's ruins, it's castles.
Less houses, less cars, less people. I mean, you're not seeing supermarkets, you're not seeing modern petrol stations. Signs of modern life are getting fewer and fewer between. There's more scenery, and the mountains get taller and higher. It's just a wonderful experience.
It's really about the journey, it really is. I mean, wherever we end up is fine.
I'd met Dennis 3 years ago, and we sort of made this connection and ridden together. And here we are, we're in the west of Scotland. I mean, we're on Sprint STs, beautiful roads.
Neale's a hotshot rider, I mean, Neale rates the bikes. I ride the bikes. He's going to be very analytical, and it does this when I do that, and it does the other thing when I do the other thing, and that's great, and I learn from all that.
I mean, I really do enjoy it all as a motorcycle journalist. I mean, I get to test bikes, I get to interview people, but there's something about a tour story. You learn the bike, you learn the land you're traveling through. You actually get to spend time. It's not like you're flying in somewhere, riding a bike, leaving. I mean, you're actually with your bike, and you spend many days on it.
It's a neat combination. I mean, Neale's truly a professional in this. Again, a bike rater, a bike evaluator. I'm an enthusiast, and my son is a growing enthusiast. Good luck. Actually, that looks worse than it is. It's awkward, but it's not that heavy. It is awkward though, right? Ooh. Hey, thanks a lot. Have a great day, sir.
Hey, thanks.
Neale!
Dennis!
Great to see you, man.
Sam!
I almost couldn't believe it. We were there. We had the bikes, they were real. I think it was when we actually got on the ferry that's when I knew, I'm over water. There's no turning back. We're going north at this point. was worth it. It was worth
Actually, I
it.
was thinking all about the months of email and phone calls, and looking at maps, and booking flights, and
Oh yeah, it all seems so surreal up to that. Up to the point of actually embarking.
And now we actually sort of came down, saw the Clyde, and, hopped on this ferry. And I thought, we've actually started. We're really here. We're doing it.
Yeah. So what do you think, Sammy?
Now we're off the mainland, finally getting somewhere. This is exciting.
You're digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Yeah, I couldn't imagine I've done this curl,
No.
It's got more of a raw Scottish look, don't you think?
Yeah. No, it does. It just feels a great sense of relief. We're actually moving.
Yeah. And it did. It took a long time to put this together. It fell into place reasonably well, but there were many things to fall in place.
Yeah, and then there's little hiccups along the way where a week would go by and you think, oh, what if we don't get that sorted out? And what if we don't get this sorted out? And
Sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3. I'm going, oh my God, I've committed to the tickets. I've committed to, this, to that, to that. This is just a rare opportunity that I simply couldn't pass up, to spend a couple weeks, in Scotland with my son, traveling on a motorcycle. And Sam is 16 now. He's riding himself, and he's a good rider. He wants to be on that ST really bad. No, it's just too powerful. But he is growing up. 2 years from now he'll be off to college. I mean, these are moments that I'll never have back. And they're moments that I actually didn't have with my father, and I'm not going to miss that with my son. Life's just too short not to take that kind of opportunity. It's like I was debating. I mean, should I do this? I've gotten so busy. There's so much going on, and it was actually Neale who said, "Well, yeah, you could look at it that way, but could you ever forgive yourself if you didn't do it?"
I don't think so.
people meeting and the energy of people coming together. And I think that's really what this piece is for us. I mean, we've sort of got this new look at the world, almost maybe a naive look at things, and people are being drawn to us, or we're being drawn to people, and they're willing to tell us their story, and we're learning as we go, and it's almost like we don't need the guidebook.
Everybody we've talked to is perfectly willing to spend great amounts of time telling us how wonderful Scotland is, and they're right.
We get on the ferry and the lifeboat man tells us what we're doing, or we stop at an overlook and there's a fellow there on his bicycle who tells us what we're doing. When it all boils down to it, we're working. I mean, I think it's quite easy to forget that when you're riding along the Isle of Loch Ness or something, and you're just viewing these beautiful mountains. But so we do have to bring the stuff with us, and you have to record what we're doing. I mean, that's our job. I mean, we're recording what we're seeing, and we're taking it back to magazines and television for people.
The bikes were incredible on these twisties. It's just zoom, zoom, and I don't know. We logged a couple hundred miles today, and that's not really a lot of miles in kind of U.S. terms, but we're not riding across Kansas here. These roads they're twisty, they're hilly, they have people on bicycles, so you have to be cautious, you have to be alert. Certainly the farther north we get, the more rugged it gets, the more austere it gets. I mean, we're still in a fairly civilized terrain. I expect it to get, much more rugged.
I mean, I think even sort of that, I don't know, synergy and energy that we've created to how we found this place here, you know, we just rode into town, kind of followed our noses. Well, it's pretty easy when you go on that size, you know. We were sort of led here. We all got rooms, there's a bar here. You know, we got breakfast in the morning, and, you know, within just a few minutes of coming to Fort William, we found a great place to stay, and we're already making friends and having fun.
Cheers. You know, we're stone's throw, well, actually, with a really good arm, we're a stone's throw from the Isle of Skye. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. I don't know if the weather will be as good. I believe we're equipped for it, even if it's not.
Past 11 o'clock, it's twilight out there still. And by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, the sun will be up and it'll all be looking beautiful again. And off we go. And we've got a few more days, so. And a wee pint of Newcastle brown, so how could we complain?
Pretty wild and pretty cold. Not all day, but right in the middle. We started getting up into the Cooling Hills, and it started getting cloudy and kind of misty, and temperature started dropping.
He wasn't wearing the protective liner, it was sort of thermal liner that goes inside the jacket.
We did ride through everything, as we have almost every day.
The sky was somewhat shrouded in mystery before we came here. We heard everything that we'd never find gas, and we wouldn't understand a word anybody said, and there wouldn't be any shops open on a Sunday, and you wouldn't find anywhere to stay. And actually it's quite the reverse of that. I mean, we found people friendly and accommodating, and actually quite easy to understand.
The Isle of Skye is so diverse. I mean, we went through these fern forests and it's moss covered, and you expected ferries to be, you know, zipping about, and then you come out in this barren, harsh terrain. We really did cover the entire Isle of Skye today, which is amazing considering how often we stopped.
I mean, I think if we were on a predetermined route, we would be, oh my goodness, it's such and such a time, we have to be in such and such a place.
You couldn't go very far without just having to stop and take it in. I found the geology to be really unique, from these barren, boulder-strewn fields, you know, to these peaks. I learned a lot about the bagpipes from Donan. He educated us, and they're actually an instrument of war. The sound alone could kill, I think.
That's why they're so loud. It's like most ancient armies. You know, you had really loud, noisy instruments to scare the enemy. Idea being that hopefully they'll bugger off before you get them.
And there's a certain sound of, or sense of agony that goes with the sound.
There definitely can be quite a lot of times, especially after a big night.
It's a bit of a seasonal job because not a lot of tourists there past about October. It gets pretty harsh in Mallaig.
The biggest problem with Scotland is not so much the actual temperature, it's the fact that the weather changes every 5 minutes, and that's what catches people out. You know, 1 minute it could be like this, next minute it could be freezing cold or chucking it down and snowing, and that's what makes our winters bad.
You know, even your summers are sort of that way, actually. I mean, we've ridden through a little bit of everything in the last year.
Well, yes,
it's beautiful, it's cold, it's raining,
Yeah.
it's nice.
You could come out tomorrow and it could be lashing with rain and be freezing. I've seen me with my fingers white with cold in July, you know, and it's supposed to be the hottest time of year. So yeah, it can do that. Some years it's rained the entire summer, but last few summers in general have been quite good.
But you wouldn't have it any other way.
It wouldn't be Scotland. If the weather was too nice, we'd end up in like Spain. There'd be so many people would be here because they would love it so much.
This keeps the faint of heart away, is that
This
it?
is sort of the idea, aye.
Well, we did have a little incident today.
We need a big, huge Band-Aid to go on that. It'd be just big adhesive, you know.
I think we should make me
Band-Aid.
feel a lot worse about it.
Let's try. So were you like we're storming down the, you know, through the twisties and everything? Were you like just really on the throttle? Were you like gunning it? Or were
Not funny.
you?
No. Turning around, very glamorous. Yeah, I've done it before.
I
I've done
hate it when that
before.
happens.
I
I just
know.
hate it when yeah, I've dropped one too. I mean,
Luckily, there was only a tour bus full of people watching and taking pictures at the time. Great.
oh my God! Oh, the humanity!
Look, he's wriggling in pain. That's really good. That must have hurt.
Actually, it was really only your ego that hurt, wasn't it?
No, my knee as
Your
well.
knee too,
yeah.
knee and ego.
Knee
Wow,
and
double
ego.
bruise.
Yes, double bruise. So did a little bit of damage on the bike, scratched the fairing up a bit. But I'm a tufty, roughy sort of motorcycle fellow, so. The dog comes
I got it. I got it. The bindings came loose. It fell over on the ferry.
And it was your fault.
Right, no, it wasn't.
No, it was the rough seas.
You weren't letting go.
It was the rough. We were tossing. It was the perfect storm.
Perhaps I should throw myself over in shame dropping the bike, right?
It's only right.
I know.
It's only fitting.
Triumph, knowing my reputation, I'm probably going to be lucky that anything comes back at all.
You have to stay alert more on a motorcycle than it seems you have to do in a car. Most of the time we are just cruising along 50, 60 miles an hour, but whenever we can and there's multiple lanes to work with, we just open the bikes up. It feels great, but not when you're cold.
The bikes are phenomenal. I mean, they just, they love the open road and they'll just eat it up.
It's a sport touring bike with a real emphasis on the sport, but you've got that comfort of the touring. It was kind of nice. And so Dennis tucked up behind, I've got his lights in my mirror, and we're making this swooping, very smooth action. We're not being abusive on the throttle or the brakes.
They're so nimble and so responsive. It's just whatever you want, it's there. Put that throttle and you're gone.
It'd be nice if I was actually in control of the bike. Perhaps tomorrow I'll get to try it out. I think he will.
No.
Neale said that I could probably handle it.
He's itching to get at the controls of that ST, and I'm, fending him off.
My dad, he is a good rider, and I respect his decision for not letting me ride. But we'll see about that tomorrow.
He's somewhat bored on the back of the bike. He wants to be at the controls, so what he's doing is he's whipping out the little digital camera and he's taking all these shots from the bike, and we've got some really, really fabulous shots by my amateur photographer son, and it keeps him busy.
Yeah, when you're on a bike, you see everything. You smell, you feel the wind. It's different. You really have to get used to it. If you've never ridden on a motorcycle before and you hop on the back, you're just struck with awe. It's very, very cool.
It's no ferry for a mile. We're taking the bridge across.
And there's a really interesting ride that'll take us a little bit of a southern route and bring us up along the west side of Loch Ness. Actually, what's going to happen is we're going to go to Loch Ness, we're going to find the monster, become amazingly famous, and we'll spend the rest of our life riding around the world on motorcycles.
Warm today?
All bundled up to go out in the snow.
It's amazing what a 50-degree temperature change will do for your spirits. I can't believe this day. I mean, we went from 35 degrees on Skye to 85 degrees today, almost too warm.
By the time we hit the bikes today, there was blue sky peeping through and off we went.
It was, you know, kind of a quintessential Scottish morning. You know, the mist was sort of hanging in the air, and it had rained overnight. The bikes were wet, you know, and I don't think I've ever seen more beautiful weather here. It was fabulous. We hit the Skye Bridge at Kyle Kalsh, and it was gorgeous.
I think the way that valley opened up when we came down to the Kyle Lookout, I mean, just looking across that water and seeing all the small towns sort of dotted around the coastline. And, well, yeah, you're singing in your helmet.
The ride, you know, it just gets better every day.
There's not huge distances here like America. You know, you're not sort of jumping on the interstate and droning out hundreds of miles. Every single corner you come around is something you want to look at, something you want to photograph.
Yeah, we don't have those in Indiana.
No.
No.
More like cornfields.
One of the first stops off the Skye Bridge, not too far, but I think it's about 5 miles or so. And you just come around this corner, and there's Eilean, Donan, Ellen's Isle.
Sitting out in the water like that, I mean, I guess the old cliche, it's like a postcard, but, and it was very peaceful there.
And probably the most photographed castle in all of Scotland. It's just beautiful. The light on it was perfect. It was almost like you'd painted the clouds up there, these poofy white clouds. It really couldn't have been more magical.
I suppose, you know, for Americans coming to this country, I mean, you know, growing up here, that age thing is not quite such a thing for me. But, you know, when you live in America, the oldest thing you like to see is, what, 200 years old, perhaps? And nothing built, I mean, you see the size of the stones that thing is built from.
Neale, being the good-hearted soul that he is, you know, saw this poor hitchhiker, of course a young female.
And did I mention I'm single?
You know, he's the kind of guy that used to, you know, help old ladies across the street and things like that. He's really that kind of guy.
That age thing is not quite such a thing for me.
So naturally he went the extra mile to give this young lady a ride.
I mean, we would, getting along a little quickly would be a nice way. And you know what, she was on the back there like you just didn't know she was there. She just sat there and enjoyed the ride.
Of course, you know, Neale's single, he's unattached, and you know, ladies, actually, if you're listening, Neale could use a date. So Neale, you found a friend here, eh? Charlotte?
Yes.
Charlotte, you're hitchhiking. Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to Inverness and then off to Edinburgh.
Where are you from?
Probably. From Germany, Berlin, capital.
And why'd you come here?
I just wanted to see the Highlands. I'm actually in Edinburgh with a few friends, and now I'm going to have gone to Skye for 3 days, and then I'm catching up for Ireland.
Wow, so it's nice places. Did you find a nice place to stay on Skye?
Yeah, Skye was wonderful. The Highlands, and we're good.
Where'd you sleep?
In the wild. See that? My tent. I had to sleep in the wild, and I haven't had a shower for 4 days.
Well, good thing we're on a bike. We won't notice. She was on her way to Inverness, and we sort of were too. You're welcome to ride with Neale. He's sort of insane.
Yeah.
But
oh, I'm fine with that. I love
oh, good. You like insane people.
Yeah.
How is that?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a good fit?
I'll take that as a no.
It's little bit small.
Is it?
It's small.
As we, crest the summit and what is the most beautiful glen we have seen, I mean, all the way down, all the way up, it was just absolutely breathtaking. And at the very top is a lone piper in full Scottish regalia.
Watching the piper today, kicking back on the grass, I mean, your quintessential Scottish moment. I mean, it's just, you're looking at this guy and thinking, my God, I'm actually here. We're not so manically driven that we can't stop and enjoy that, and I think that's been a really nice part of it.
That was one of those we went zipping by and was like, we're gonna go back. And then all of a sudden the tour bus, like, everybody jumps out. We did meet a tour guide on that bus, was actually a pretty funny lady.
Always.
Scotland's
Yes.
always like this.
It's very, very nice weather over here.
You don't work for the tourism bureau or anything?
No.
No. She has such an honest face too. I mean, I can't believe it. So Charlotte, how do you like your motorcycle tour so far? With Wheelie Neale here.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of crazy, but it's nice. Yeah, I like it. I like the fast rides.
Yeah, we did have a bit of a run there, didn't we?
Yeah, and I have a great chance to get the view while riding, and that's great too.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. You didn't expect you'd be seeing this part of the world on the back of a motorcycle this morning, did you?
No. I plan to do it in a couple of years, but I don't think I would do it today.
We were really zipping down through there.
Yeah.
And the weather, the clouds.
Yeah,
the
it's
glen.
much better than yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Do you ride at all at home?
No, I'm not allowed to. My mom didn't.
But you're allowed to hitchhike across the continent?
Yes.
So your mother lets you hitchhike single, solo, all over Europe, but you can't ride a motorcycle?
What is the concept? I mean, how does hitchhiking work? I mean, when you
put your thumb out and then crazy people come along like us and pick you up. Neale, really, man, that's how it works.
I just saw another hitchhiker girl before. And I was telling her, hey, there's a bus coming in like 20 minutes. She was, no, I better hitchhike. It's cheap.
Yeah.
And you get to know the people. And you get to walk in between because nobody hits you up sometimes. Yesterday I was walking for more than an hour before somebody gave me a lift.
But you could exercise that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were at Fort Augusta for lunch, which is a little, kind of a lock town. I mean, connecting a lock to a lock are locks. And these sailboats are just stepping through town as we're sitting there having lunch. We were really looking for Nessie. We wanted to see the Loch Ness Monster. I heard that there were, shows at 8 and 11, but must have been, on tour or something. There was no Nessie today.
Okay, thanks so much.
Oh, no worries. Hey, thanks for coming with us. I hope you had a good ride.
Yeah, it was nice.
Great day for motorcycles.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Nice meeting you, Charlotte.
Nice meeting you.
Bye, Sam.
Good to meet you, Charlotte.
Safe
Good luck with your
travels.
travels. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, did I mention I'm still single?
Neale. I'm so ashamed of you, I must say. He's a lonely man, he really is. Ever since his hitchhiker friend left him,
Yeah, I know.
he hasn't been the same.
I know, it's been terrible.
Broke his heart in Inverness, right?
She left me at the
she
bus
left
station.
you at the bus station in Inverness. It's so sad.
Didn't we leave her?
Riding Scotland on motorcycles. It just doesn't get any better than this.
Sam has been so patient about not riding the Triumph, so tonight we pulled into the hotel and he was going to move it for me. I said, come on, let's get out for a ride, and he cleared it with Dad and we took off. I think Sam had a good time today. Yeah, actually Sam had a really good time today, and I owe both Neale and my son. Really, I owe them one on this one.
Funny story.
The little wheelie incident was not what I had planned on. Sam had hounded me just too much. I could not take it anymore, and I had to let him on that bike.
Don't tell your mother you did this. Easy on that throttle. Uncle Neale strikes again.
They're gone. They're gone for like, they're gone for 5 minutes. So they're going down the street, coming back. They're gone for 10 minutes.
So we pull over, we switch gear, helmet, sunglasses, and jacket.
And I said to him, I said, when we get back, follow me about half a mile from the hotel, you slip into the lead, put your turn signal, make the turn, and as you make the turn, I'm gonna wheelie past you.
Finally, they show back up. I see off in the distance, I see 2 headlights. Thank you, Lord, thank you. He brought my son back to me. And, there's a big lorry in front of them, and, good, that keeps them slow, They have a little bit of distance, and they're coming down, they're gonna turn in, and I'm watching, and Neale's leading as he should be, being the responsible individual that he should be.
I took the lead, assuming to be Neale, and Neale dropped into the first gear, and he just took off and got a wheelie.
And then all of a sudden, woo, and Sam goes by. I got a good laugh. I'll get him back. I will.
Bless his little mustache. I'm sure there'll be hell to pay tomorrow.
Just what I needed. Here I'm biting my nails all this time.
So we're quite far north, and we've got to run down all the way to Glasgow tomorrow.
We'll be getting more into some of the older cities, but I think it'll be a different experience. I mean, every day's been sort of quite a separate experience, each equally rewarding in its own way.
The whole way down today was that feeling of I know this is coming to an end. And it's been a long 4 days.
Really the 2 middle days of the trip, you're in that Zen state of mind where you're just on the bike, you're living and being and just riding and going from point to point.
I mean, 4 days on a bike doesn't necessarily seem like that long a time, but it really is. And we did cover a lot of ground. Today was, the longest, hardest ride, really.
But it's just so enjoyable. I mean, it's like, you're sort of hanging onto those last few corners and that last little ride. And you're really wishing it would last. I guess you just wish it would last forever.
And I think there's a lot that goes with that. I think there's the whole thing of, kind of coming down.
And I mean, I think it's an interesting thing that, why we take trips. I mean, I think we're all sort of linked into our nomadic instincts and past. And, when we go out and we take a journey like this, I mean, I think it allows us to reconnect with that. I mean, we take a motorcycle, basic amount of luggage, not really too much, a plan. And we're just moving and traveling and finding food and finding shelter and sort of fulfilling that need within ourselves, I think, that we don't get in daily life sometimes.
The distances we've traveled in the U.S., they really wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, you'd get on and you'd just, fly down interstate. But those kind of distances here are multiplied.
The Highlands were actually crawling with bikes. I mean, it's an ultimate motorcycle destination.
I love all of Scotland, I do, but the Highlands and areas like the outer islands and stuff, they're so fabulous and they're so wild. It's still pretty unspoiled. I mean, it hasn't been turned into some big, tourist theme park.
Sort of recapping the amount of different nations that we've seen up there, and who brought their own bikes as well. I mean, people shipped in from Amsterdam to Newcastle, they came across from Dover, they rode up through England. I mean, a lot of those people have traveled a long way to get up to the Highlands, and when you think that they have the whole of Europe at their disposal, to choose to go touring. I mean, it has to tell you, volumes about what a beautiful place it is to travel when that many people have chosen it for their destination.
The people are wonderful. They're all such characters.
I think it was built about 1715. And after the 45 at Culloden, all the Highlanders retreated down to the township rather than above here. And this was occupied by the English Redcoats. And the last Jacobite action in Scotland was burning this down in 1745.
Great.
And Prince Charlie came back from Culloden and he told all the Highlanders to disperse to their villages, and that was the end of the Jacobite rebellion. So this was the last Scottish action in Scottish soil.
And that's what's left to show for it, eh?
The buildings on the right is a garrison for, I think it's 120 men, and the smaller building on the left is the stables.
Now the horse you have there, again, was what kind of?
It's a Highland pony.
Highland pony, native to Scotland?
Native to Scotland, yeah. And these ones were running on the island of Muck, and we bought them. We bought 7 altogether and took them back 2 weeks ago.
But you handle horses normally?
Yeah.
and use them for, you're a horse handler for films?
We supply horses for filming. We farm Highland ponies and Highland cattle. I don't know if you remember the film Rob Roy?
Yeah.
All the cattle and about half a dozen of the horses were ours.
No kidding.
We did Highlander, the original Highlander.
Sean Connery?
Yeah. And I also work in the oil industry, so I travel all over the world.
So you're a busy man.
I am, yeah.
But you always come back home here.
Well, the home is where the heart is, isn't it?
And it's a beautiful place.
I would never consider living anywhere else.
And at a day like this, why would you?
Yeah, well, I've been asked, I was offered a job about 7 years ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma by the company I work for. And I said no, and they said, well, it's a better quality of life in the States. I said, you come to Scotland in a day like this, it was in June. I said, there's nothing to compare with it.
I'd have to agree with you.
People had a story to tell and seemed quite willing to want to tell us their story. I don't know, maybe because we're a traveller coming into their space, their story is new to us, so we have an interest. It's something maybe that they wouldn't tell the next door neighbour because their next door neighbour knows that story. So I think you give and take when you're travelling, and that's wonderful.
So Kate, why would someone build a castle out in a lake?
Just as a safety measure, so that if there was any problems with people raiding cattle and such like, they're there. They can see them before they, and they're safe.
No,
because
so
there's water.
How far back does this go?
It goes back to about the 1300s, they think. Not terribly sure, there's no accurate sort of information really, but that's when they think it was.
And that
built.
was about Robert the Bruce?
Yes,
area?
round about then. And his great-grandson certainly had something to do with it.
And who was his great-grandson?
He was Robert. He was called Robert as well.
Grandson of Robert the Bruce?
Yes, great-grandson.
Great-grandson.
But he was also known as the Wolf of Badenoch.
The Wolf of Badenoch?
Yes, because this is Badenoch and Strathspey, the area.
Badenoch
and Strathspey is the area.
Badenoch and Strathspey?
Yes.
Pretty good, huh?
Good.
Okay, and so the Wolf of Badenoch,
yes,
why was
well,
he the wolf?
He raided many castles and stole other people's wives and cattle, and that's why he was called the Wolf.
Manly man.
Yes, nicely.
And what did you say about the road? The road was?
It was called the Thieves' Road because they used to come over the hill and steal the cattle and such like.
The Scots are very proud people, and they're very independent. And yeah, it's part of Great Britain, but they're Scots. You know, make no mistake about that. And they're quick to point out that they're Scots. But they're wonderful people, and they really are warm and friendly, and a great sense of humor, and kind of a, you know, it's almost a twisted sense of humor. And I think some of that is that it's a harsh country, it's a harsh land, and you have to almost laugh at it sometimes to get through it. And I think they've got centuries of practice at that, at sort of laughing at hardship and making a joke out of it.
Now this little cottage, which is just the snack bar and the souvenir area, and this is where you hang out, huh?
Yeah.
Great. And open all year? Doesn't it get kind of cold here?
Closes from October to Easter time, usually about April. It's cold.
It's cold.
Sometimes, I mean, it can be quite.
But you got quite a sunburn going here today.
I know, too much.
Well, the sun comes out a couple days, you got to get it all, right?
That's right, take it all in one.
Does it ever get lonely up here? Or,
No.
No, there's always people,
It's too lovely.
It's too lovely.
It's just a lovely place.
Oh, that's great.
When you come round that corner in the morning and look over at the castle, it's absolutely, and there's nobody here, and it's just beautiful.
Probably hard to have a bad day at work, eh?
Yes, indeed, when I'm here, it's fine.
Well, I really thank you for chatting with us and for the IC, and we'll collect my son here before he finishes reading all your paper and whacks his head on that door 3 more times.
There might be some things on page 3 you don't want him to see.
He's already seen it, I think.
Too late. We'll never get him back on the bike. Thanks, Kate.
Okay, thanks.
From what? Where else?
I got to take the bike out today again. This time my dad was totally okay with it. In fact, he suggested it.
What do you say? I'm going to hop on with Neale. You're going to ride? Let you ride. Am I a great dad? You know, it's a nice road. It's easy. The traffic's moving slow. Just follow Neale. Take it easy. Take it easy. Be responsible.
I always am.
I know you are. Okay, have fun, man. The time with my son was just was beyond compare. I mean, we've had it's just an unbelievable time that'll be with us all our lives, and it does really make you think and make you realize that life is way too short not to do stuff like this. Because you can always think about, well, I'll do it next year because I've got this obligation. You know, I get that out of the way and I'll take care of this, and then maybe I'll do it. But if you do that, you'll never do it. These experiences, you only go around once. You've got to take them.
You know, I don't get to see my dad as much, especially during the summer, because the summer is his main travel months. So it's good to just go out, really go out of the country, and spend, you know, a week or so with my dad. You know, just me and him, and no interruptions.
I guess we've come full circle. Started, made our journey, and today we've finished. And you know, there is a strange sense on the last day. Time starts moving in your mind because you're not in that moment quite so much. Thoughts about what I'm going to do when I get home start to come in, and daily life does start to come back a bit.
And there's part of me that, wants it to come to an end. I have to, I've got to do, regular things too. But there's another part of me that never wants it to end. And now we're back, and tons of packing to do, and rush around and catch a, 8 a.m. flight out of Glasgow, and, fly for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, who knows. And then suddenly I'll be plunked back in the middle of my normal life.
It doesn't happen to everybody, especially me as a 16-year-old. It seems like I have to go back to reality. Like this isn't quite reality, and I have to adjust to civilian life, it seems.
And for me, there's another sort of circle that's been fulfilled for me, being 25 years since I actually rode here on a motorcycle and lived here. And realizing, wow, I haven't been here and ridden here for 25 years, and I have ridden some of these roads before. And it just seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, I was just a kid starting out on motorcycles, and that was what it lit a spark in me that's become a flame, that's become a passion. It's just burned to me my whole adult life, and that's how I make my living. That's what I do. And here we are. We're out for 4 days in Scotland with good friends, riding around, and we're able to put all of those skills and all of those things together. I mean, to be able to make that correlation in your life between where you were 25 years ago to where you are today, exactly the same place on a motorcycle doing the same thing, I don't know that we get the chance to do that very often.
It's really a bittersweet thing, ending a trip like this, and it has you thinking about when can I pull this off again?